Hello, my friends, and welcome to Self-Love Week. I never knew that we had that here in America, maybe, worldwide. I'm not sure, but this morning, I was in my cycle bar class because I do cycle bar, and the instructor was saying how this week is Self-Love Week. And I was thinking about self-love and self-care mostly because that's what I was doing in class was self-love and self-care, taking care of myself. And I was thinking about when I was in active addiction and when I was first in recovery, my first maybe few months in recovery, which led me to relapse my first time. My first time relapsing this stretch, right? Because I relapsed many times in the past when I said I was going to try to quit doing drugs and alcohol, mostly Adderall and Klonopin. Everything else was just kind of there, but Adderall and Klonopin I was physically addicted to. So, physically and mentally are two totally different things. So, but I was physically addicted to Adderall and Klonopin. Adderall for energy and getting up and going, and Klonopin for my anxiety. My anxiety was so bad, and my ability to move was so low while I was on Adderall and while I was on Klonopin, while I was abusing both of them, that I didn't have the ability or the capabilities to practice any self-care at the end of my active addiction and at the beginning of my recovery, which led me to relapsing the first time. So I was in recovery. I went to 2 different rehabs, and then I went and I stayed with my aunt for about, I can't even remember, maybe 3 months, maybe more. And I was not doing well, which led me to relapse. You know what they say in meetings, they say don't quit before the miracle happens. And that's the truth, because guys, it takes time to get back to a place where you're able to practice self-love and especially self-care. While I was in my class this morning, I was thinking about how I didn't practice self-care because nothing fazed me. I really truly believe, and I'm sure there's some studies to back this up, but this is just me, right? Me looking back and trying to figure out what the hell happened to me. But I truly believe that the medicine that I took, the Adderall that I took, the Klonopins that I took, the cocaine that I took back before, all of the drugs that I did, the ecstasy, everything that I did growing up, led me up to Adderall. Taking a bunch of Adderalls because to keep me going. That my endorphins and my happy endorphins, like the dopamine, all of them, serotonin, everything, they didn't work on their own anymore. They just didn't work. I needed it to take something to help those work. Like I needed to take Adderall for my dopamine to go so I could get up and actually have the drive or the care in the world to do anything, So when I took that all away, I sure as hell didn't get any happiness out of taking a shower or working out. Like this morning when I was taking a shower, it just feels so good to get out and be fresh and clean and, all those things that you get from taking a shower. Those were non-existent when I was not on Adderall at all. Like, it was so draining draining for me to have to get in the shower and get ready. Like, get ready. What I remember, sometimes it would take me an hour to get ready. This is what I was thinking when I was just out of rehab and I was just in the beginning stages of recovery. I would be like, 45 minutes? What the hell did I do for 45 minutes to get ready? Like, I can barely brush my hair, let alone use a dryer. I just had no drive to do any of these things, to put makeup on. I tried to work out, and you know the thing they say, fake it till you make it, right? Well, I tried, and nothing gave me the energy that I get off working out now, because my mind and my brain and my dopamines and my serotonin and norepinephrine, all those things they weren't working anymore. They were like not working because I messed with them. You know, the Adderall and the drugs, they mess with your brain, and they mess with all those good feelings and all those things that you have, so that you can't produce this anymore without medicine. So I would go, I worked out with my sister. She got me, I had no money, right? So I was just kind of like, I'll try to walk and run and nothing, you know? So my sister was like, she bought me like a thing to burn boot camp. This thing was hard, so hard. But I would go in there and we would do like, I don't know, it's kind of like a CrossFit, but not really. But kind of in the same thing, where it's like group exercise. Not so much weights, but more like your own body weight. I would go in there and I would be yawning the whole entire time. Like just yawning and like try to do like burpees and get up and like yawn and try to run up a hill and like tired. And at the end, no happiness, no excitement, none of this little high that you get from working out, like nothing was working. And that's why I relapsed. So I had enough. So what I'm trying to say here is that, well, I relapsed, and then I went back to another rehab, and this rehab was just 3 weeks. But I had it this time. Like, I really had it. Like, I just was tired of all of it. And I only relapsed for like maybe 2-3 weeks. And I still had medicine on me. I still had Adderall and Klonopin on me when I finally said, I can't do this anymore. Because, you know, I would wake up in the morning and I'd go to take my medicine, and I couldn't stand myself until I put Adderall and a Klonopin in my system. And I was so tired of looking at myself and feeling like that without some kind of like medicine. Like, this has to not be how life is. Life has to be easier. I should really be able to be happy. I see all these other people, they act happy. They look like they're getting something out of their exercise. Why can't I get anything out of my exercise? Why aren't I happy? So now, when I look back at it, I now realize that the reason why I couldn't get happy is because my brain needed time to heal. It totally needed time to heal. And not only did my brain need time to heal, but my nutrition, my self-care, all of those things, I needed to revisit them and kind of remember why it's so important and how to love myself again. And it really took time. People have this conception, a misconception, that they go to rehab, you get out of rehab and everything's fine. You're going to go to rehab and you're going to get out, and they kind of like put some fairy dust on you and you're better now. That's not the truth. The real work happens when you leave rehab, when you're not in this controlled environment where they make the food for you, where you're around a bunch of different addicts, and most of the people that are there teaching you about your your disease. I'm sorry. Most of the people that are teaching about your disease are also recovering addicts. So you're not in this bubble of a life, where people understand what you're going through. Real work happens when you get out, and it's your time to force yourself to get through each day, one day at a time, because it gets better. However, I truly believe there's ways that you can speed it up. You can speed up getting better. The ways that you can do this are the ways that you don't want to, but it really, really works. Exercise works. Not at the beginning. What did I do? I did yoga because that's all I could do. I couldn't run or cycle or lift weights. Like, I got myself a yoga mat, I got on YouTube, and I started practicing. And I practiced yoga before while I was an addict, but I had stopped for about a year because it took me about a year to really it took me about a year from when I guess when I first started going to these rehabs, when I hit rock bottom, from when I hit rock bottom to when I got out of my last rehab after relapsing and all that. It took about a year, I would say. So, yeah, about exactly a year. I want to say like November to like September, it took me to finally say, okay, now I'm back on my own. It's time. And I really felt like I was going through the motions. Like, all right, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to a meeting because I have nothing else to do. And they say go to meetings, so I may as well just go to a meeting. And so I would go to a meeting, and I didn't really understand why I was there, and I didn't really want to say anything, and people would be talking, and I would just be like, not even listening, and I didn't want to get a sponsor because I didn't want to have to call the sponsor. I didn't want to have to do anything because my brain wasn't working. Now when I look back, I realize my brain was not working. So doing all these things like going to the classes, getting a sponsor, having to call them every day to check in, forces you to start cranking that brain again. Like pretend your brain is like a clock, it's like a wheel. It's moving. And yeah, it would be so easy to go back and to take Adderall again, right? To start moving. And maybe I could take a little bit. Maybe I would be able to, actually control it this time. But that was not true. I knew at this point that is not true. I have no control over Adderall, over any drugs, really. Like anything that makes me feel unlike this, I want it, and I want more. Nothing. Well, anything that made me not feel like how I was feeling then. So I would go to the classes. I would keep going. Those really help because it just gets you going. Work helps. Now me, I wasn't able to go back to the career I was doing when I was in active addiction. It was too taxing on my body, too taxing on my mind. I held myself to this standard while I was there of perfection, and therefore all my coworkers would have held me to that standard again, and I just wasn't ready. I kind of hid out in like jobs where like you were heard and not seen. Instead of being seen and not heard, I was like heard and not seen. Like background jobs. So I got a job like selling water coolers to like companies. Like when you go and you like can get water out of like a little water cooler. Yeah, that didn't work. What did I do? I said I was going to sell some water coolers, and I'd go home and fall asleep. I was so exhausted. And then I finally got through a week of not going home and falling asleep. While I was doing that, I was looking for another job because I was getting paid nothing, like $500 a week or something like that. But it was just enough to pay some bills and to get going a little bit, and it wasn't that hard of a job, right? Then I got another job while I started growing a little more, and I was able to work a little harder, and then I kind of allowed myself to grow into new positions. And then I got this job about 3 years ago. So I was about a year and a half, 2 years into my recovery when I got the job that I have now, and I was ready to go. I was back to Lauren. So I wouldn't worry about all that, like getting worried about, like, am I going to succeed in my job? You will get back to where you are now. Like, that's you. That's not like the drug. The drug isn't the thing that created your success. The drug is just what you have used to maintain this self-care, right? To maintain your mind being able to go at the pace that it's at. So anyways, that also helps. Working also helps. As long as you don't push too hard, working helps. So going to meetings and working and exercise. The other thing that was really helped me, and this could be like controversial, whatever, I don't know, but I did go see a doctor and I did get put on some antidepressants. So I'm on 2. I am on 2 of them. And I will tell you what they are, but I think one of them's like Celexa, I think it is. And it's some generic form of it, so that's why I can't even really remember. I know it used to have like that happy cloud in its commercial, and also Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin is for the ADD I have, and it gives you a little bit of energy, they say. It's not addicting like that. It's not like a controlled substance. It's not that. But it's one of the pills that works with both dopamine and serotonin, while the other antidepressants really just work on your serotonin levels, from what I understand. Remember, I'm not a doctor, guys. I am just Lauren, a recovering addict. So that really did work. It really did help. Not immediately. It took different medications, like they tried me on Prozac. That didn't work. They tried me on a few different things, and I really truly believe it's not that the Prozac wasn't working and any of the other antidepressants. It was that my brain was so not used to any of these lesser drugs, I would call them, right? Like lesser, because they're not controlled substance. They didn't immediately give you that, like, you know what I mean. We all know what controlled substances do. So now I'm at this point where I have come down on my antidepressants. I'm working out every morning, and I'm doing cycle bar. Like, this is like 450 calories burned in 45 minutes. And I love doing it. And I get this like great feeling of like my endorphins are going. Like, I feel really good when I get out of it. Do I feel good when I walk in it in the morning? Not so much. But when I leave, I feel great. When I take a shower, I feel like clean and refreshed. All of these things that you do not feel when you're first out of rehab. So, again, do not quit before the miracle happens. You're a miracle, and your sobriety is a miracle, and it gets better. Just maintain self-care, self-love. Keep yourself busy with some of these activities that I just said. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Life is not meant to be as hard as it's been. It gets better. I promise you. The drugs are now not making it easier like what it used to do, right? Like, drugs at first made life easy, right? Made everything so easy and carefree. Well, they don't do that anymore. Time's up. They're different. It's time to move on, right? Nothing we can do anymore, so it's time to move on, and we've got to do this. These are just some tips that really worked for me. My name is Lauren Michelle. I come here weekly to discuss drug addiction and drug recovery. I am not a doctor, so anything that I say here has not been like come from some study or anything. It's just my own observations. And I come here to just kind of discuss the things that I have seen and gone through and hopefully help you. I really hope that I help you become a stronger, more complete, sober person. It's difficult, and you can't have too many friends that are in sobriety with you. They are truly all blessings. So hopefully you will become a subscriber. That would be great. And leave a message or leave a thumbs up or something to let me know you're here, because it really helps me like kind of know that there's people out there listening. Thanks so much, and I will